In order for us to know the value of an item, we look at three things. We look at whether it is real or fake, or we look at how much it's worth, and whether it has imperfections or any faults. So if we are trying to, if an item is really expensive, it has no imperfections, and it is real, obviously its value would increase. And so this value gets tested. And in this verse, which we have read from 1 Peter 1, 6 and 7, it talks about how God tests our genuineness of our faith. So in these seasons of silence, that is what he's testing. He is testing whether our faith is genuine and if it is real. And in this seasons of silence, we also get to see what areas we need growth, in what areas are we weak in and it is lacking. And in these seasons of silence, are we still able to trust in God and still obey in him when we may even not even know where we're even going? So if we can look into the life of Joseph, where at first God revealed his plan to him. He saw the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars, but yet after that, we don't really see a lot of communication between him and Joseph. There was a lot of period of silence, and then Joseph got thrown into the well. And so I don't know about you, but I would have in Joseph's perspective, he probably felt very confused. Oh God, you have shown me your will, but yet I'm here in this pit, so where are you? Where is your fulfillment in your plan? And so then after he got thrown in the well, then he got sold out by his own brothers, and then he worked as a slave in the Pharaoh's home, and then he got put into jail because of Potiphar's wife. And yet, even through this confusion and despair, he yet did not waver, and he did not question God, but he continued to obey in him and trust and continue to have faith. And so when we go through these seasons of silence, that is what God is testing. He is testing our faith, and through this testing our faith, we become stronger in our own spiritual lives, and we produce growth. And so that brings me to my second point, where the seasons of silence is equals to our growth of our character. And so we can look into Jesus' life, where for 30 years, God prepared him in his ministry. And so there was this period of silence. And so if you look in the screen, where it says Luke 2 verses 52, it says that, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So here it says that Jesus grew in his character. He grew in wisdom and in stature. And so then that is what God wants. So when we, as I said previously, when we get the testing of our faith, we able to realize our weaknesses and what we lack in. And so then these areas which can be hindering to fulfilling God's will in our own life. So God wants us to realize these weaknesses, and he wants us to be able to work on him, because we are his vessels to do his work. So in order for God to be able to work on us, we first need to realize these weaknesses and what we lack in, so then we can work on them and we can grow in our own character. And growth is not just in an instant. It is not like happening in the matter of seconds, but it is it takes time, and it happens in quiet and unseen seasons. So growth means that you have to learn to trust God without always hearing him. It means that you have to choose obedience, and even when you don't even feel anything, when there's periods of silence, it means that you have to just trust and obey him when you may not know the full plan. And in James 1 verse 3 and 4, it says that the testing of our faith produces perseverance. So then through this, we become more mature and more complete. So we gain maturity in our own spiritual lives. And so then went through this maturity, we're able to do the will that God has set for us. And so this silence is not empty, it is preparation. And so God is shaping you of who you are and to become who He's called you to be. And so when God is silent, what does it mean? So it means that He is also fighting our battles. So when God is silent, it does not mean he has left you alone in your struggles. In fact, he's often helping you fight battles you can't even win on your own. So if somebody can read Exodus 14 verses 14. Okay, so here it says that God will fight for us, and all we have to do is be still. So as I talked about how, in the silence, God is preparing us for our will. But there are certain dangers or certain obstacles that may prevent us from doing that will of God. And so in this period of silence, God is trying to deal with these dangers and so these sin battles, because Satan, he is always trying to stop you from fulfilling God's plan. He brings temptations, lies, and distractions to pull you away from his purpose. So God wants to deal with that first. So that's why he's silent. He wants to deal with those dangers and with those distractions, so then you can able to fulfill his plan without anything in the way. And so, so even though you don't hear God clearly, he's still protecting you and guiding you. And so, and God will deal with those that are against his plan, so that he can reveal it to you by clearing the way. So in conclusion, so God's silence does not mean he is absent in your situation. As going back to Psalms 13, where David felt as though God has forgotten him, he has forsaken him, he has turned away his face, and he felt as though God was silent. But that does not, even though God is silent, that does not mean that he is absent from your situation. He is not there. He's still working behind the scenes. He's still working and moving the wheel, and he's still there in your own life, and he's still walking by with you. And so when God is silent, what does it mean? It means that it is a time of testing. God wants you to grow, and he is fighting our battles. And thank you.